Read the instructions first. Which of the phrases 1, 2, 3 and 4 given below each sentence should replace the word phrase printed in bold in the sentence to make it grammatically correct? If the sentence is correct as it is given and no correction is required, then mark 5 as the answer. Question number 51. In attempting to move ahead, we have forsaken, that is in present perfect tense, our good cultural even practices. Now you should understand what is this sentence about. This is about cultural practices. Now you cannot say even practices. If you place the word even here, it means you are talking about even practices. The sentence is not about even practices, it is about cultural practices. How many examples are there with cultural practices? 1. At the outset, our good cultural even practices, this is not correct. Now you have to select one of the 4 options. Our even good cultural practices. Even good cultural practices. Hold this one. Even our good cultural practices. Now it talks about our good cultural practices. When we talk about cultural practices, we use either good or bad, usually good cultural practices. Whose good cultural practices are we talking about? Our good cultural practices. Now, even good cultural practices, this is not correct because you have to consider our good cultural practices. Our good even cultural practices, again not correct. Even cultural practices not correct. Good cultural practices even. Now let us go to either the first option or the 4th option. In attempting to move ahead, we have forsaken our even good. This is already the second one. You have to decide between the second one and the 4th one. We have forsaken our good cultural practices. Hold this one. Even our good cultural practices. Here the word even talks about emphasis. We have forsaken what? Even our good cultural practices in the name of moving ahead or in the name of development. This seems right. Hold this one. What is the 4th one? We have forsaken good cultural practices even. But the word our is missing here and we have to use our. And it is about emphasis. Now the answer based on that answer is the 2nd option, not the 4th option. So how does the sentence go? In attempting to move ahead in the name of development, we have forsaken, we haven't considered, we have kept aside, forsaken, even what? Our good cultural practices. Answer is the 2nd option. All these questions you have to understand the context, one thing. You have to use your grammar knowledge, another thing. You have to take elimination approach, the 3rd thing. Let us have a look at sentence number 52. Sikkim has emerged. Again the sentence is in present perfect tense. Sikkim has emerged as one of the. Whenever you see the phrase one of the, do remember the noun should be in the plural form. What is the noun here? Destinations in the country. But we will see the entire phrase. Sikkim has emerged as one of the most after sought. There is a standard expression. What is it? Most sought after. When we talk about an actor, an actress, a celebrity, a place, a book, a job, we use a standard expression. The most sought after job, the most sought after actress, the most sought after actor, the most sought after tourist destination. Now here, after sought, obviously it is not correct. Reject this one. Tourist destination sought after. Sikkim has emerged as one of the most touristed destination. When we use one of the noun should be in the plural form, so this is not correct. One of the most sought, it is not tourists, touristed destinations. So this is not correct. Again, we don't say seeking after, standard expression, we say sought after. 4th option. One of the most sought after tourist destinations. Standard expression, most sought after, it is correct. One of the most sought after tourist, not tourists, tourist destinations. noun in the plural form, it is also correct. Based on that, what is the answer? The fourth option is the answer. Sikkim has emerged as one of the most sought after tourist destinations. As simple as that. It is based on standard expression, most sought after, one thing. Again, grammar knowledge, one of the noun should be in the plural form. Based on that, you can eliminate the first option, the second option, and also the third option. That means what? Only one option is correct. And the first option, why don't you consider, why shouldn't you consider? Most after sought is not correct. Most sought after. The verb here, seek. What is the past form of that? Seek, sought, sought. Most sought after, standard expression. Now you may ask, so how do we know that? Again, the same song. What is that song? When you read a lot, you understand all the standard expressions. Imagine you have read an article related with the latest developments. To use effective English, you have to keep yourself abreast of the latest developments. Keep abreast of the latest developments. Means what? Keep in touch with what is going on, the latest developments. So today, when we talk about Indian economy, when we talk about foreign exchange, one of the sources of foreign exchange, one is FDI, foreign direct investment. Another is foreign trade or export business. And the third one, the most important industry, tourism industry. Imagine you read the newspapers, you read magazines, definitely you will come across, you must have come across an article related to tourism industry. When you read an article related to tourism industry, obviously you come across the expression most sought after tourist destinations, one of the most sought after tourist destinations. Based on that, this question, 1 second you can answer. When you go through a few seconds, I don't want to exaggerate, not 1 second, a few seconds, you can answer effortlessly. The best part of it, when you read a lot, what happens? When you go through the question, now when I go through this question, I know for sure, one of the most, I'll become alert. I will look for the noun plural form. After that, when I understand the context, it is related to tourism industry. It is related to a place called Sikkim, and it has emerged as one of the most sought after tourist destinations in the country. In fact, it is the first place to become completely eco-friendly. And when I answer this question, I know for sure my answer is correct, my option is correct. There is no ambiguity, there is no disturbance. I will go to the next question with a lot of confidence. That is very important. Imagine I answer the question number 52, but I'm not quite sure. I try all the options, still I'm not quite confident, not quite sure. Then the impact of that will be on the next question. You should never be in that situation. Once you answer, you should answer in such a way that you know for sure your option is correct and there's no ambiguity whatsoever. Now we'll go to question number 53. Uttarakhand has struck by a calamity. That's an important word. Calamity means what? A natural disaster, catastrophe. A better word, catastrophe, a natural disaster, an unfortunate incident, something like a mishap. All these words you have to recollect. One is mishap, another one unfortunate incident or event. Unfortunate incident or event. Also, this is a better word, catastrophe, a natural disaster. Also you have to think of natural disaster. All these words, calamity, mishap, unfortunate incident, catastrophe, natural disaster, this is the context. Uttarakhand has struck by a calamity that the state's chief minister has called a Himalayan tsunami. Himalayan tsunami, a natural disaster. Floods, you all must be knowing it happened, I don't remember the exact year, but here Uttarakhand has struck. If you understand the context, the subject is Uttarakhand and it has received action from Uttarakhand has struck. No, it has been struck. Natural calamity, a calamity struck Uttarakhand. That is active voice. You have to use in passive voice. What is the reason? The subject is Uttarakhand. It has received action from the nature. Based on that, you should tell yourself the sentence should be in passive voice and it should be in present perfect. What is the reason? There's no time factor. Now, based on that, how many options are in passive voice? Has been struck, one option. Had stricken, not in passive voice. Is being struck, already over. So you cannot use present continuous, not correct, though it is in passive voice. Was being striking, not grammatically correct. Was being struck, this is also not correct. So it talks about a past action where time is not important. That means what? You have to use present perfect tense in passive voice. And Uttarakhand, subject, third person singular, we have to use a helping verb, has, not have. So Uttarakhand has been struck. Easy, based on grammar knowledge, based on contextual awareness. And to answer a question like this, when you read this sentence, you have to know for sure the sentence yourself, the sentence should be in passive voice. Then you know for sure this is not correct, and only one option is in passive voice, that too in present perfect. Answer is the first option. Edward Snowden, in other words, has informed US and British citizens that they have no privacy. Whosoever. The key word here, privacy. Privacy is not a person. Privacy is a thing. Person, we use a relative pronoun who, and a thing, we use a relative pronoun what or which. And if you take the relative pronoun that, it goes with persons as well as things. But your privacy, a thing, at the outset, whosoever is not correct. Not correct. Any option that goes with or relates to a person, reject immediately, because the topic, the key word here, privacy. Whatsoever, whatever. You have to decide between whatsoever, whatever. Edward Snowden, in other words, has informed US and British citizens that they have no privacy whatsoever. Whatever, we don't say. Again, you may ask, sir, how can we decide? How do we know? It is not whatever, it is whatsoever. It all depends on your reading habit and to what extent you are exposed to the knowledge. I don't understand, it's beyond my comprehension. Without getting exposed to the language, how can you decide the correct option? If grammar knowledge is relevant in this sentence, like previous question, grammar knowledge is important. But here it is not based on grammar knowledge, it is based on exposure to the language. If you read a lot, obviously 1 second you know, they have no privacy whatsoever. They have no freedom whatsoever. And they have a lot of questions, whatever, the standard expressions whatsoever. A lot of limitations whatsoever. No privacy whatsoever. No restrictions whatsoever. The standard expression, privacy whatsoever. Or restriction whatsoever. Freedom whatsoever. I can create so many patterns based on the reading habit. Even you can do that, provided you read a lot. Imagine a situation where you are not a regular reader, and how do you decide? You may eliminate whoever, whomever, because grammar knowledge, relative pronoun, who goes with persons. Here privacy is not a person. 1 second you can eliminate the first option, the second option. But how do you decide between these two? In both you have what, whatever, whatsoever. Based on exposure to the language, you can decide. Answer is privacy whatsoever, a standard expression. When it comes to mains, do remember a lot of questions related to passage or close test or fillers or errors for that matter or phrase replacement. In my opinion, many questions depend on, they try to understand, they try to test your awareness based on the context. Many questions are related to contextual awareness, and many questions are related to your exposure to the language, to what extent you have exposed yourself to the language. The more, the better. This is very difficult to make out. I don't know the exact context and not easy to. This is a tough question because it is not easy to comprehend. If you lived in Delhi and read the sports pages regularly, you might remember seeing Shikhar Dhawan's name emblazoned across headlines for almost a decade now, though never in the main sports page. Though never in the main sports page. The key says something, I don't consider that there's a problem. But here, though, you must have seen his name You might remember seeing Shikhar Dhawan's name emblazoned. Emblazoned, it means something like highlighted across headlines for almost a decade now, though never in the main sports page. In my opinion, never over the main sports page, not correct. Ever at the main sports page, not correct. Always beside, again not correct. However, inside the main sports page, no. In my opinion, answer should be, because there's a contrasting word. What is a contrasting word here? Though. Though, never in the main sports page. Answer should be the fifth option, no correction required. Never in the main sports sequence to form a meaningful paragraph and then answer the questions given below. This is nothing but para jumble. How many parts are there? 6 parts. Total 6. And this one is rather difficult. One of the reasons, you can get 1 and 2 based on one idea. You can get 3 and 4 again based on one idea. That means what? You can get 1, 2, 3, 4. But 5 and 6 rather difficult. You may make a mistake. 5 and 6. There is a reason behind that. And it does not follow the pattern. Now let us take the elimination approach and see what could be the first sentence. The pressure on land is high and the workers on land also are compelled to go to the city to find a job there. Here it talks about additional information with the word also. Cannot be the first sentence. Today, with the establishment of factories, the commodities produced by the village craftsmen cannot compete in quality or price with those produced in factories, with the result that the village industries suffer a loss and after some time close down. Hold this one. The joint family system in India flourished in the days of yore, when agriculture and trade in the villages were in a sound position. Hold this also. With the closing down of the village industry, the workers moved to the city. With the closing down of the village industry, the workers moved to the city. So this cannot be the first sentence. Besides, in addition, cannot be the first sentence. Owing to the inrush of people from the villages to the cities, the Hindu joint family system breaks down. Again, it talks about the reason, owing to, because of, due to. Cannot be the first sentence. Now, when you read all the 6 parts, you should understand what is this about? Ask the question. This is about the joint family and the reasons behind the disintegration of the joint family. Based on that, once you understand that, it is not about this one, it is about this one. What is the first sentence here? Obviously, I will write here, C is the first sentence. What is this about? The joint family system in India flourished in the days of yore, means in the past, good olden days. Remember that expression. In the past, good olden days, when agriculture and trade in the villages were in a sound position. C is the first sentence. What is the next one? It should be, with the closing down of the village industry, the workers moved to the city. That is not correct. Today, now it talks about the past. The joint family system in India flourished in the days of yore, when agriculture and trade in the villages were in a sound position. What is the present situation? Then you have to consider B. B is the second sentence. What is B? What does it talk about? Today, with the establishment of factories, the commodities produced by the village craftsmen cannot compete in quality or price with those produced in factories, with the result that the village industries suffer a loss and after some time close down. The clue for you for the next sentence, close down. So what is the next one? It should be closing down. With the closing down, after some time, the village industries suffer and they are closed down. With the closing down, what is the impact of that? Now here, let me write C is the first one, B is the second one. And what is the next one? With the closing down of the village industry, the workers move to the city. This is the third one. Now C, B, one idea. After that, D, with the closing down of the village industry, the workers move to the city. Here the third one is D. And what is the fourth sentence? The pressure on land is high and the workers on land holdings perhaps also are compelled to go to the city to find a job there. Also, Here it talks about whether closing down of the village industry, the workers move to the city, one reason. And another dimension, another reason, with the word also. That means this is a fourth sentence. So these two, one pair. See the broad framework, the disintegration of the joint family. Reasons behind. The first reason, the closure of village industries. And after that, the impact of this closing down, many workers move to the city. Not only that, another reason, the pressure on land is high and the workers on land also are compelled to go to the city to find a job there. So you got CBDA, no issues. You can get CBDA, absolutely no problem. Now I said 1, 2, 3, 4 easy to handle, but 5, 6 rather difficult. Now you may get tempted to choose. What are you left with? I will write here. You are left with F and what is the next one? E. Yes. EF. Now what happens? Here we are talking about the decline of agriculture, closing down of village industries, and the line of thought you will think, besides the decline of agriculture and trade, there are other causes which induce people to move to the city. There is every possibility, almost all the candidates, they will think the fifth sentence is E. But unfortunately, it is a last sentence. What is the fifth sentence? Owing to the inrush of people from the villages to the cities, the Hindu joint family system breaks down. This is the fifth sentence. Induce people to move to the city. F-E. The last sentence is not F, it is E. Now you may have a doubt. Sir, how come? In fact, when I went through this, to be candid, to be frank, I also thought, logically thinking, logical sequence, it should be EF, because it talks about additional factor. See how the sentences go. Here, the clue for you, close down. With the closing down of the village industry, the workers move to the city. The pressure on land is high and the workers on land also are compelled to go to the city to find a job there. Besides the decline of agriculture and trade, there are other causes which induce people to move to the city. All the three go in the same order. So it should be, logically thinking, it should be D-A-E. But I checked. Usually what happens when I get a doubt, I check, I cross-check, I get the actual source. This has been taken from one of the articles related to sociology. It goes with the subject sociology. Sociology, what is it? The scientific study of modern societies. Modern societies, especially culture, traditions, all these things. And this particular article, it's all about the advantages and disadvantages of the joint family system. Lengthy article clearly mentioned what is the Hindu joint family system and what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, what is the present status, and what are the reasons behind the decline of this, the Hindu joint family. A very lengthy article. When I went through the article, I found, surprisingly, in my opinion, the writer should have used this one and after that, this one. The correct order, in my opinion, as you must have thought, EF, but unfortunately, the correct order, actual article, that we cannot touch, that we cannot change. We cannot question the writer. If you depend on the actual source, the actual article related to the joint family system, the Hindu joint family system, it is, this is the fifth one and this is the last one. So what is the correct order? CB one idea, DA one idea, FE one idea. But there's every possibility, almost all the candidates may think it is not FE, it is EF, unfortunately. Now in a situation like that, what happens? You will get 4 marks, all the 4 correct, but these 2 go wrong, then you lose, because negative marking is there, you may lose 0.5 marks. That possibility is there. They go in a systematic way, they follow a logic. If you remember yesterday we got one word, coherence. I said writing is nothing but coherence. Coherence means what? Smooth and logical flow of sentences. And how do the writers achieve that? They use the link words, one thing. They make sure they follow the line of thought. It should be systematic. Here it is not systematic. What is systematic here? The correct order, if you talk about systematic nature, it should be EF. But we don't know why the writer has chosen this particular pattern. That is up to him. We cannot question. That is rather rare. Usually you don't come across a problem like that. But you should be happy. If you, let's say you have got 4 correct, you should be extremely happy. Now 61 to 63, pillars, double pillars. Of all the problems that have human beings since the beginning of recorded history, perhaps the most significant has been, significant means important, the most important has been the of their own nature. Of all the problems that have encountered human being, problems that have encountered human beings since the beginning of recorded history, perhaps the most significant has been the importance of their own nature. It looks a little doubtful. Hold that one. That have perplexed human beings. Perplex means to get confused, to get puzzled, to get bewildered. All these words you have to recollect. Perplexed, disturbed, confused, bewildered. These are the synonyms. Of all the problems that have perplexed human beings since the beginning of recorded history, perhaps the most significant has been the value of their own nature. No, it is not. Perhaps this is right. Here this is right, but the context is rather negative because the word problem is there. Look at the context very carefully. Of all the problems, the sentence talks about problems, then we cannot say has been the importance of their own nature. Positive word, reject the first one. And this word is right, this word is right. But value, a positive word, not correct. Question, that have questioned human beings. Problems don't question human beings. Reject this one based on the first word itself. Be in the scope of their own nature. Again, scope is not relevant here. What is the fourth option? Of all the problems that have confronted human beings since the beginning of recorded history, perhaps the most significant has been the riddle of their own nature. First, you should know the meaning of the word riddle. Riddle means puzzle. What does it mean? Puzzle. Riddle means puzzle. This seems right. Hold that one. We'll check the last option also. Of all the problems that have directed, problems don't direct human beings, not correct. And being the issue of their own nature, no. Now, what does the sentence talk about? Of all the problems that have confronted, confront means what? Come face to face. Usually it goes with a problem, it goes with a clash, it goes with a fight, it goes with confront your enemy, it goes with war, it goes with enemies. Of all the problems that have confronted human beings since the beginning of recorded history, perhaps the most significant has been the riddle of their own nature. So many problems, but the most significant, the riddle of their own nature. Riddle means a puzzle of their own nature. Human nature is not easy to understand. It is very complex and not easy to define, not easy to talk about human nature. And that way it is a puzzle, it is a riddle, and that has been the most significant. Now, not easy to understand, but elimination approach, I think you can choose. But generally speaking, more than the elimination approach, you should understand the context. Based on that, you should be able to select the correct option. 62. Self-concept and self-esteem are crucial to personal and professional effectiveness because if they are not fully developed, usually we say, I may act in mystifying and sometimes ways. Because if they are not fully positive, I may act in mystifying and sometimes destructive ways. They are not fully positive. Let us hold this one. Fully developed, I may act in mystifying and sometimes proactive. Proactive is a positive word. Here we need to use a negative word. So based on that, reject this one. Proactive means what? To do something before someone tells you to do. In a way, it means to take the initiative. Today, if you go to the private sector, they use this word. They say quite often, We want our employees to be proactive. Proactive means what? Take the initiative. Before the manager tells you what to do, what not to do, you should take the initiative based on the situation and do something. Then we say you are proactive. It's a positive word. It is in the limelight. Today, if you go to the private sector, quite often you come across the word proactive, so don't consider that one. We need a negative word. If they are not fully nurtured, developed, you can consider. Here, developed, correct, but proactive, wrong. Positive, destructive, positive. We don't use the word positive, either developed or nurtured. Nourished, they all mean the same. Nurtured, I may act in mystifying and sometimes reactive ways. Proactive, reactive. And reactive is a negative word. You should not react. You should wait for the right time. You should understand the situation. But if you react immediately, that may result in a negative. That may cause a negative thing. So reactive is a negative word. Hold the third option. Are not fully nourished. This is right. And what is the second word? Listless ways. That is not at all relevant in this context. Devised, not fully devised. We don't use the word devised in this context. The words are, because the sentence talks about self-concept and self-esteem are crucial to personal and professional effectiveness, because if they are not fully, they mean self-concept and self-esteem. They are not fully developed is correct, nurtured is correct, nourished correct. But you're proactive, reject the second option. And reactive, I said hold. Third one, listless, not relevant, reject that option. What are you left with? The third option is the answer. Self-concept and self-esteem are crucial to personal and professional effectiveness, because if they are not fully nurtured, developed, I may act in mystifying and sometimes reactive ways. Mystifying, not acceptable. Reactive ways, not acceptable. So they should be fully developed or nurtured. That's what the sentence talks about. Mystify, mysterious, mystifying means what? You cannot understand something. Mysterious, vague, difficult to understand. You all know the word mystery. From that you get this word. A key factor in an effective and fulfilling life in a complex society is the ability to control over our actions. A key factor in achieving an effective and fulfilling life in a complex society is the ability to exert control over our actions. This seems right, hold this one. A key factor in obtaining an effective and fulfilling life, this seems right, is the ability to energize control. This is not correct. We don't say energize control. A key factor in projecting an effective and fulfilling life. It is not a question of projecting, either achieving or obtaining. And restrain is the ability to restrain control over our actions. Already we have rejected this one. And a key factor in providing an effective and fulfilling life. It is not providing, either achieving or obtaining or accomplishing. What is the next one? Expressing. It is not relevant here. As I said, it should be either achieving, obtaining, accomplishing. Now you have to decide between the first one, and already you have rejected the second one. What is the reason? The word energize is not correct. That means what is the answer? The first option is the answer. A key factor in achieving an effective and fulfilling life in a complex society is the ability to exert control over our actions. Exert means force. Exert, pressure means put in. Put force or control. Exert, impose control over our actions. The answer is the first option, achieving and exert. And typical combination with the word exert, exert pressure. Don't exert pressure. Don't put more pressure. Exert control means put control, control something over our actions. And let us check previous question also. I could not go back to that. All the words are rather easy, should not be. There's one word here, nurtured, developed. Nourished, usually it goes with providing food and all. And vulnerable, you have got this word many a time. Vulnerable means likely to get exploited, in a weak position, and likely to get harmed or likely to get troubled. Let me check the previous one also. I have given the meanings of all these. Confront means come face to face. Now here there is one word, admonish. That's an important word. You got the answer. Answer is the first one. Exert, achieving and exert. Admonish means to scold someone, to reprimand someone, to rebuke. You have to think of the related words. Scold, reprimand, rebuke, admonish, all these are synonyms. Now 64 to 66, again phrase related. He went to the blast site, but these are based on grammar knowledge. He went to the blast site to save his colleague who was standing there. Who was standing there. Had it been standing, it would have been right. But what is the word here, stranding? Who was standing there is not grammatically correct. First, you should know the meaning of the word stranded. Someone got stranded. I got stranded in the village means what? To get stranded means unable to move because of lack of transport. You go to a particular place and all of a sudden they say strike or some other problem, no public transport, no transport available. You cannot move from that place to another place. Then you use the expression, I got stranded. That is the context. He went to the blast site to save his colleague who was, here the verb is strand, who was stranded there. The verb should be stranded. And let us check. Had been stranded, has to strand, not correct. Was being stranded, again not correct. And was being stranding. You cannot use ing form, present participle. It has to be either the, already have rejected the second one. You're left with only one. Which one is that? Why had been stranded? Here we have two clauses. He went to the blast site, clause 1, and who had been stranded there, clause 2. But this one, 1 and 2, if you take these two actions, the first action, the second action, which is the first action, he had been stranded, he got stranded. This is the first one, and this should be in past perfect. And what is the second one? He went to the blast site. It should be in the past. So based on that, this is a combination of past perfect for the first action and past tense for the second action. Had been stranded, this is in passive voice, past perfect tense. Do remember, past perfect tense, passive voice. When I received the letter, the date for the interview was already over. This is rather easy. Was already over, it talks about a past context. Then we cannot use the verb in the present form. When I received the letter, this seems right, hold that one. When the letter I had received, no. I had to receive, already over. I was receiving, no. It should be in past, simple, a short sentence. When I received the letter, the date for the interview was already over. Answer is the first option. As simple as that. When the letter I had received, then it is not related to that. Obviously, the answer is the first option. Everyone is requested to attend the dinner party hosted by the president. Everyone is requested. Perhaps they are trying to make an announcement, and the statement, this is in passive voice. Excuse me. This is in passive voice, present tense. Then you should know what is the sentence in active voice. We request everyone to attend the dinner party hosted by the president. We request everyone. And when you change it to passive voice, what do you get? Everyone is requested by us. We don't mention by us. Everyone is requested to attend the dinner party hosted by the president. He is requesting, not correct. He is requested to attend. The same thing they have given. Will request, not correct. Is to request is not correct. Answer should be, I don't know why they have given, everyone is requested to. Everyone is requested to. I don't see any difference. Answer is no correction required, or the second option. And what is the sentence in active voice? We request everyone to attend the dinner party hosted by the president. Everyone is requested to attend the dinner party hosted by the president. Passive voice, present tense. 67 to 70. Again, phrase related. For being skillful and experienced, he is a valuable employee. Because he's skilled, we say because he's skilled. Here you don't find that, so on account he is skilled. On account of his being skilled, that is correct, but you don't see that expression, not correct. With his skill and experience, he is a valuable employee. This seems right, hold that one. Beside having skill, not correct. What is the answer? With his skill and experience, he is a valuable employee. Answer is the third option. Because he is skilled would have been correct. But after that, and experience, that is not correct. Isolation, this expression skilled would have been right. But obviously here two things. With his skill and experience, he has two things. One is skill, the other one experience. He is a valuable employee. Answer is the third option. Today there are few countries whose growth rate is equally that of China. I think there's a problem with the key, this one also. If this has been highlighted, this is in bold, then the answer, this we don't have to touch. Based on that word, you have to decide the correct option. Today there are few countries whose growth rate is that of China. Equalize on, not correct. Equivalent to, hold this one. Equals with. Is equals with, not grammatically correct. Without is, it would have been correct. But is equals with, not grammatically correct. On equality with, not correct. What is the answer? Today, there are few countries whose growth rate is equivalent to that of China. Few countries means negative connotation. No match for China. Today, there are a few countries means at least some. Today, there are few countries whose growth rate is equivalent to that of China. Same level to that of China. Answer is the second option. The government is willing for finance. This you should, 1 second, one reading you should be able to. Willing for finance or willing to finance. Part of the project, obviously. Willing to finance. The government is willing for finance is not correct. The government is willingly financed to, not correct. Financially willing. Willing to finance, again you don't have to use the word financially. Here, willingness in financing, not grammatically correct. All these, one reading you should be able to answer. The government is what? Trying to do what? Is willing to finance part of the project. The government is interested to finance part of the project. The government wants to finance part of the project. Standard expressions. So answer is the government is willing to finance part of the project. We must keep in pace. Again, this goes with the reading habit, exposure to the language. We must keep in pace. First, you should know the meaning of the word pace. Pace means the speed. What does it mean? Speed. We must keep in pace, not correct. Standard expression. We must keep pace with. This is what we say. We must do something. Do what? We must keep pace with changing technology to succeed. So keeping in pace, first of all, it is not correct. Kept pace, it is not correct. Because must, after the helping verb, if at all you have to use a verb, that verb should be in basic form without to. And what is the word for that? Bare infinitive. After must, the verb should be in bare infinitive. Here it is in bare infinitive, but in pace is not correct. And here it is not in bare infinitive, not correct. In keeping pace, we must keep. So again, keeping is not correct. It is not in bare infinitive. Keep pacing, no. What is the standard expression? We must keep pace with changing technology. We must keep pace with someone or something. Here's something, what is it? Changing technology for what? To succeed. Answer is obviously the first option. We must keep pace with, that is a prepositional combination, with changing technology. For what purpose? To succeed. Now the passage, what is this passage about? The passage, when you read the passage, my suggestion when it comes to mains, whether it is prelims or mains, do remember the competitive edge. You're preparing for a competitive exam and you should always be better than others. In a competitive exam, you don't have to be the best. You have to be better than others. That means you should have the competitive edge. What is a competitive edge you can have when it comes to English part, English component? A lot of candidates don't read the passage. They don't read the close test. If at all they read, they answer only a few questions. But if you read the passage, if you can answer many questions, that is a competitive edge you have. And first, when you read the passage, you should know what it is about. This is all about online shopping and the apprehensions. Apprehension means a fear that something negative may happen, and the apprehensions related to the people who use online, who resort to online shopping, who go in for online shopping. What are their apprehensions related to two dimensions? One is security, the other one is related to privacy. And what are the checks, what are the limitations, all these things. One reading you should be able to understand, not a complicated passage. And you can relate to this passage. What is the reason? It goes with youngsters, online shopping, that is an in thing today. And the passage also talks about what is going on in the Western sphere, Western part of the Western countries, and what are the reasons behind, whether it is safe or not safe, all that stuff. I will read the passage quickly. Simple definition of online shopping or shopping on the web is enabling you to buy and sell through your computer online using web or internet environment. There's one question related to the meaning of the word environment based on the context. Remember that one. One reason people like without a salesperson, because you can browse inside the shop. Browse usually goes with reading, traditional meaning. Browse the book, browse the magazine. It goes with you're waiting for someone, you're getting bored, you take a magazine, you browse the magazine. Means what? To read the magazine leisurely, casually, and you turn the pages very slowly. Here, to move inside the shop for the number of hours at your leisure time, not leisure, leisure. Leisure means free time. Without a salesperson peering over. There's one question. So at this stage, I don't want to give the meaning of that because there's one question. When we go to the question, I will explain. Peering over the shoulder and making unwanted recommendations. Unsolicited. Unwanted, unsolicited recommendations. Typical combinations. As a customer, we may find this approach convenient, which approach online shopping, and less time consuming. But how does this affect the economy as a whole? Again, affect, verb, effect, verb, as well as a noun, but generally used as a noun. EFF-ECT used as a noun, AFF-ECT a verb. You have to recollect that one. Is it safe to pay credit card online? Now the writer asks a few questions. What is the first question? As a customer, we may find this approach convenient and less time consuming. But how does this affect the economy as a whole? Is it safe to pay credit card online? Is buying and selling products over the internet considered as a risky business for merchants? Is the web going to replace old-fashioned stores, the brick-and-mortar model? Is virtual shopping really better than the real thing? So many questions. Now, so many questions posed by the writer. Answers: cyberspace is a vast territory. Territory means area where computers meet and exchange information. In this 21st century, cyberspace has already, to your computer, will look you into wealth of goods and services. Some problem with the words over here. In your home, it is not modern, I think it is modem, if I'm not wrong. Modem box attached to your computer will look you into wealth of goods and services. That means you get access, online access, access to internet. Not only does it allow you to talk to your friends on the other side of the world, but also allows you to watch a movie, buy airline tickets, pay bills, and even get cash. People in developed countries like US and Canada have already started using online shopping as a routine mode of their purchasing goods and services. These are developed countries, US and Canada. They have already started using online shopping as a routine mode of their purchasing goods and services. Internet shoppers still believe that. Now the apprehensions. Internet shoppers still believe that there is no secure and convenient way of paying on the internet. Consumers are concerned with two main security fears. This is what I was talking about. One, they are worried that their credit card information is jeopardizing, an important word. Jeopardize means threaten or endanger. Remember two words. Jeopardize means either threaten or endanger. While traveling over the net, the risk factor is there. They also express concern over data privacy. The second concern is what? Data privacy, whereby the vendors And banking institutions, perhaps not banking institutions can tamper with the data and easily record their purchasing habits. And based on that, they may take some action. These fears over privacy and security. Two problems here, apprehensions. One is related to privacy, the other one, security, have kept e-commerce from taking off. These two factors have kept e-commerce from taking off. That means e-commerce has not taken off in the real sense. In this context, take off means to go in a big way, to become very popular. This, I don't know when they wrote this article, but now e-commerce has taken off. E-commerce has become very popular. Let us have a look at the questions. What does the passage imply by the word virtual shopping? I'm sure you don't have to read the passage to answer this question. What is the meaning of the word virtual? Something that is not real. The virtual shopping means what? Shopping widely, not correct. Shopping spree, a good expression. First, I'll give the answer. Literal shopping, no. Net shopping, online shopping, a wide perspective of e-commerce, not correct. So what is virtual shopping? Net shopping, online shopping, web shopping. And shopping spree means sometimes what happens, this is an important word. Answer is a fourth option. Shopping spree. Imagine someone is going to get married. They have to buy a lot of stuff. One day they buy jewelry, another day dresses, third day something else, accessories. 1 week or 2 weeks continuously they buy. Then we say, he is on a shopping spree, or she is. Remember the preposition, she is on a shopping spree. Someone is on a shopping spree. Remember the sentence, on a shopping spree, continuously shopping. Why is it risky to pay online? Clearly mentioned in the passage, it reveals the identity of the buyer, it intrudes upon the privacy of the buyer is apprehensive of his credit and details going over the net. This is a major reason. Why is it risky? Because it's all related to payment. The buyer is apprehensive. I have used this word. Apprehension means a feeling that something negative is going to happen. The buyer is apprehensive of his credit card details going over the net. That is dangerous and risky. Other options are not that important. The merchants may record the buyer's purchasing habits. But all these options, though they look right, the most important thing, what is the key word here? Risky. What is risky here? The details related to credit card details going over the net is risky. Based on that, the answer is the third option. Which of the following statement is or are true? Cyberspace has opened an immense wealth of services but has affected the economy too. Mentioned in the passage, hold that one. Data privacy is no longer a thing of the past. No, data privacy is still a thing of the past. Today also we don't have data privacy. This is not correct. And people in developing countries use online shopping as a routine mode. This is also wrong. In developed countries, what are the examples given in the passage? The US and Canada, they are not developing countries, they are developed countries. So this is not correct. The question talks about what is true. Answer is only A. First option is the answer. What is the author's view regarding shopping on the web? Shopping on the net makes the buyers wary of financial transactions. This is true, but you have to select the most important option. Shopping in the stores is an obsolete idea, not correct. Net shopping has affected our economy on the whole, mentioned in the passage, and payment by credit card easily outnumbers, not correct. Answer is the third option. What is it? Net shopping has affected our economy on the whole. That is true. Why has online shopping caught on so much in the USA and Canada? Catch on means to become very popular. Here it is in the past, caught on so much in the USA and Canada. The developed countries can well afford to indulge in such luxuries. It is not a luxury as such. The pace of life is super fast in these countries. Pace means speed. In the developed countries, the pace of life is super fast. When the pace of life is super fast, obviously you always think how to save the time. Online shopping saves your time. So this seems right, hold this one. Virtual shoppers need not hide their credit card information, not correct. Banks, etc. don't tamper with, they tamper with, already mentioned in the passage. But here, why has online shopping caught on? Why has it become so popular in the USA and Canada. One of the reasons, the pace of life is super fast in these countries. Because of that, it has become very popular. Same meaning, environment, a bit difficult to get the exact option. You may think conditions, you may think provision, and circumstantial not correct, department not relevant, enclave not relevant. Enclave goes with a group of buildings isolated or separately constructed in a particular town or city. Enclave. So not related to this particular context. It talks about, if you remember the word internet environment, means what? It is not internet condition, internet provision. Answer should be the first option. And the next one is rather easy, browse. Look through, hold that one. Enjoy, not correct. Examine leisurely, hold that one. Nibble means, usually the word nibble goes with kids. When you give a kid a biscuit or a chocolate or something to eat, a cake, if the kid is not interested, he or she doesn't like the stuff, they don't eat, they take small bites. Nibble means to take small bites of something. It goes with kids. They don't finish it. They spend a lot of time taking small bites. Nibble, not relevant in this context. You have to decide between the first option and the third option. Look through also means the same. Browse, look through, go through the book or go through a particular book or a magazine. But better word, better expression, examine leisurely. This is more specific, and browse exactly means examine something, usually in this context going to the shop, but usually it goes with magazines and books. Go through the magazine, go through the book leisurely. Take your own time. Answer is the third option. It is modem, not modern. M-O-D-E-M, modem. It is not a gadget, it is not an appliance, it is not an apparatus, it is not an equipment, it is a device. Answer is the third option. I think there's a problem with the key this also. Now opposite in meaning. Jeopardize. Jeopardize means what? To put someone in danger, to endanger someone, to put someone in a vulnerable situation, to threaten someone. What is the opposite of that? It's a negative word. You have to choose a positive word because you want the opposite. Risk, negative word, and hold this one, secure, hold this one. Endangered is a synonym of this, so not correct. Of the three words, safe, secure, related, benefit not relevant here. Jeopardize, nothing to do with benefit. Either it should be safe or secure. Between the two, this is an important one. Sometimes what happens, in the exam you come across two words which are synonyms. Then you have to select a better word. Safe, secure, which is a better word. Secure is a better word. Answer is the fourth option, not the first option. Peering. I don't know, these options they shouldn't have given. Here you got look through, examine leisurely, browse, they all mean the same. But more specific, examine leisurely. Here again, you got all these are more or less related, but exact word is device. Then safe and secure, synonym, secure is a better word. Here peering, peeking, peeping, both mean the same. And leaning, lean against the wall. You take the support of a wall and then imagine freshly painted wall. We say don't lean against the wall. So here it is not relevant. Looking, not relevant. Staring is not relevant. Stare means to look at someone for a long time. But here it is peeking and peeping. Both are synonyms. Then how do you decide? Peep is the answer. Though they are synonyms, here the context talks about the salesperson peeping over your shoulder. Peep means to look at someone quickly and secretly. That is the most important thing. And usually it goes with, in the past, if you take a door and door, there's a hole, it is known as peep hole. If you look at someone through the peep hole, obviously it is called peeping. And also you stand behind the door, you hide behind the door, you try to look at someone, that is called peeping. You put your head forward and try to look at someone or something. Don't peep like that, usually we say. It goes with everyday English. But do remember, these two are synonyms. Peeking, peeping, but usage point of view, which is in usage. We don't use the word peaking, we use the word peeping. Answer should be the fifth option. The last 10 questions and related to the banking sector, you should be able to answer all the 10. Banks are from. What is the clue for you? The preposition from. Same from, we don't say same from. Diverse from, perhaps different from, yes. Differentiated from other corporate, not differentiated. And similar, it takes a preposition to, so not correct. What is the answer? Banks are different from other corporates, perhaps corporates. Banks are different, diverse from, better word is different from. Banks are different from other corporates in important. Important, before you see the options, you have to think of important aspects, important dimensions, important features, all these. Important aspects, the first option itself, hold that one. Perspectives, no. Perspective means the outlook, how you look at something. Leads, not relevant here. Manners, not relevant. Manners has many meanings. Manner, how you do something, one meaning. Again, manners and etiquette, being very polite. We use the word manners, manners, good manners, bad manners. Policies, no. What is the sentence? Banks are different from other corporates in important aspects. Answer is the first option. And that makes corporate governance of banks not only different, see here, not only different, but also more critical, very important. Sometimes what happens, you come across the word you have to select in the passage itself. If you go to the passage carefully, based on that also you can easily make out. Banks facilitate economic growth, are the agents of monetary policy transmission, seems right, hold that one. Catalysts, important word, but it goes with chemistry. Catalyst means something that brings in change. Motivators, banks are not motivators, not relevant here. Points, no. Ingredients, ingredients goes with preparation of dishes. When you want to make a particular dish, a special dish, then you ask the question, what are the ingredients? When you talk about the recipe, what are the ingredients? Not relevant here. You have to select between agents and catalysts. They're not catalysts, they're purely agents. Banks facilitate economic growth, are the agents of monetary policy transmission. Agents of transmission. Answer is the first option. And constitute the economy's payment and settlement system. By the very, again this is based on standard expression, standard phrase. By the very nature, if I look at this one, someone who reads a lot, by the very nature of their business, before I see the options, I know the word is nature. What is the reason? Based on this expression. By the very nature of their business, banks are highly leveraged. So the answer, by the very limitation, not correct. By the very spread, not correct. By the very nature of their business, nature of their business, nature of work, nature of business, standard expressions. Haste means to do something in a hurry, to do something quickly. There's one expression in English, what is it? Haste makes waste. Haste makes waste. Don't be hasty. Don't try to do things in a hurry. Haste makes waste, not relevant here. Urge, to request a lot, to request earnestly, not relevant here. What is the answer? By the very nature of their business, banks are highly leveraged. Leverage is an important word. Leverage means to take the maximum advantage of something. You have something, a particular resource, and you try to take the maximum benefit from that. Then we use the word leverage. They accept large amounts of an uncollateralized public funds in deposits, for deposits, from deposits, as deposits, to deposits. No, it is as deposits. They accept what? Something as what? As deposits. Answer should be in a fiduciary. Fiduciary means, the word fiduciary means trustee. The word trust, trustee. Someone who takes care of something or someone. But you should remember the word trustee. Fiduciary role means the role of a trustee. Capacity and further leverage those funds through credit creation. Banks are interconnected in diverse, complex and opaque ways, transparent, opposite, opaque ways, underscoring their contagion potential. Contagion, important word, Today it is in the limelight because of coronavirus. Usually it goes with diseases. It means what? Transmissible, potential, hidden talent, a particular feature hidden, latent. Also think of the word latent, potential. He has the potential, she has the potential to achieve something. Means the talent is hidden, it has to be brought out. If a corporate fails, the fall over, push out, pull out, fall out, throw out. This is rather difficult. What is the reason? All these are phrasal verbs. You should know the meanings of all these. At least you should know which one goes with this context. If a corporate fails, that is negative context, and whenever there is a negative incident, the consequences that take place after the negative incident, for that we use one phrasal verb, that is fall out. Based on that, the answer is the fourth option. If a corporate fails, the fallout can be restricted to the stakeholders, the investors. If a corporate entity fails, the fallout, the negative consequences can be restricted to the stakeholders, means investors. If a bank fails, the impacts can inject, mix, flow, spread rapidly through, constrict. Here answer should be the impacts can inject rapidly through, no, mix not relevant, flow rapidly through. The impacts can flow. Seems right, hold this one. Spread, seems right, hold that one. Constrict, no. You have to decide between the impacts can flow rapidly through to other banks. But better word here, spread rapidly through to other banks. The right word is spread. With potentially serious consequences further, financial system and the macro economy. Financial system is always unstable. Once you know that, wide is not correct, not relevant. It doesn't go with financial system. It doesn't go with macroeconomy. Long is not relevant, small is not relevant, closed is not relevant. Stable, unstable. Financial systems are always volatile. You have to think of the word volatile. Volatile financial system. Volatile macroeconomy. Unstable. Answer is the second option. Again, if you ask the question, so how do we decide? Nothing to do with grammar knowledge. Please remember, many of these, I'm not giving the answers based on grammar knowledge. I'm giving the answers based on contextual awareness and collocations. More than collocations, context. Context is the king. Once you understand the context, and if you are exposed to the language, based on the context, you can easily decide the exact option. While regulation has to play in ensuring, has a game, no, has a music, not at all relevant, has a role to play. Again, a standard expression. Something has a role to play. What is that something in this context? Regulation. While regulation has a role to play, not this role, it is R-O-L-E. Interest not relevant here. While regulation has a role to play in ensuring robust corporate standards, important word, robust means strong and sturdy. Corporate standards in banks, the point to recognize is that regulations is a necessary. Calculated regulations is a necessary. Better word would have been is a necessity. Miscalculated, not a wrong word. Estimated, superficial. Imaginative, you don't have to be creative here. Hard regulations or calculated regulations. Between the two, it should be calculated, means thought over. You consider, you contemplate, you introspect, then you come up with regulations, then you use the expression calculated regulations is a necessity, but not a sufficient condition for good corporate governance. It is a necessity, but not a sufficient condition for good corporate governance. Now, in my opinion, this close test, let us have a look. Passage rather easy, you should get all the 10 correct, and close different from standard expression, one you can get, and what is the second one? Again here, important dimensions, important aspects, you can get this also. Agents, catalyst, a bit difficult to make out, I will not consider this one. And here, by the very nature, based on exposure, you can get this one. Next is what? Accept something, as deposits. This is easy. 4. And if a corporate fails, the fallout. If you read the newspapers, you come across the fallout of a particular event. So fifth one is also easy based on the exposure to the language. Spread, again, easy. And what is the next one? Volatile. When you read articles related to economy, financial system, and prices, markets, business, quite often you come across the word volatile. What does it mean? Unstable, not stable, always changing, rather dynamic. 7 you can get. And role. Has a role to play, standard expression. How many have you got? 7. 8 you can get. And what is the last one? Calculated regulations, perhaps a bit difficult. So here, out of 10, you should get 8 effortlessly, one reading. Do remember, close test, you should not depend on grammar knowledge. If you depend, you can answer 2 or 3, maybe maximum 4. But my approach, usually I tell students, you should go with the context. And for that, you should expose yourself to the language. For that, you got to read a lot. Then what happens? All these, 1 second, you know for sure. When you read a sentence like this, while regulation has to play, before you see the options, you will think of the word a role. While regulation has a role to play. Simple. You don't have to depend on the options. One word pops up. What is it? A role to play. He has a role to play. She has a role to play. And it has a role to play. Obviously, 1 second you can make out. That's it for today. And an easy paper, you should get how many questions? 40 questions. You should get between, you should answer out of 40. Between 30 and 35 should not be a problem. And some students, when I say this, they think, nice joke. It is not a joke. You can get between 30 and 35 a paper like this. And tomorrow you're going to get one paper. I think today you may get one paper. I'm not quite sure the day and the date. That is really a tough paper. That paper I will not say. You can get between 30 and 35. If you get between 20 and 25, that is highly appreciable. That's it for today.